Okay, good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. So, I know some of you were here last night and to open the new year in prayer with the community. So, thank you for those who came. I was actually at home with my family. We have a small tradition watching the ball drop and sharing our first kiss of the year with some bubbly apple juice. Yes. Anyway, you know, in the beginning of a new year, I think it's appropriate to really set goals. And I felt similar to last month, we did a whole series on kind of completing the year well. And this month, I wanted to do a series with the theme of a fresh start. And we'll be giving out these cards later on. The overall series for January is going to be on a fresh start. And we'll be covering these 5 different topics. Anyway, each one will be designed to really empower you as an individual to really have clarity around your goals for the year and really to make it the best year in 2023. So today, we're going to be talking about setting goals with God. So goal setting is actually one of my favorite topics. For those that know me, I am a goal setter. I love setting goals, setting and achieving goals. But I know that this is not everyone's cup of tea. And there's very good reason why not everyone loves goal setting. But today, I wanted to explain a few reasons why setting goals is so valuable. And I hope that by the end of the sermon, you'll feel excited about setting goals for this year and also see the spiritual value of setting goals for your life. So let's begin with the definition of a goal. There are a few out there, but simply what I found was it's an aim or desired result. Very simple. And the question that you might want to ask is, why is it important to set goals? So let me ask you guys here, and you can shout it out. Why do you think it's important to set goals for your life? Anyone? Motivation, okay, helps you stay motivated. Very good. Anyone else? Say it again. Gives you focus. Yes, very good. Gives you focus. You kind of know where you're going, what you're spending your energy and time. Any other reasons why it's good to set goals? Clarity. Yes, clarity is similar to focus. And then accomplished. You can accomplish more things. Actually, you guys covered most of the topics I will be sharing about today. So the first thing I'd like to share about the value of setting goals is it does give a sense of purpose and direction in your life. You know, if you don't set a goal, then it's kind of like wandering aimlessly. You know, it's almost like trying to drive. You know, you usually put a destination in your GPS when you drive somewhere, but it's like trying to drive without having a destination. You can maybe enjoy the scenery, drive around a few times, but if you don't have a clear end in mind, then at the end of the day, you feel a sense of purposelessness. And so it's really important to take the time to clarify where it is that you want to get to in life. So that's one reason. Here's a quote from Father Moon that I found. You need to set a clear goal of your own and follow through with it. Before your ship sets out on a voyage, you have to know where it is going. So, as mentioned in the quote, not just for driving a car, but even a boat, he liked the ocean. So for sailing, you also need a direction to go anywhere. Now, the second reason was also mentioned about accomplishments is by setting goals, you will be more productive in your life. Okay? You can achieve more partially because when you focus your energy on one thing or a few things, you can get more done. Now, there was a study, Virginia Tech, they followed a group of students from the time that they started college for the next 25, 30 years of their life. And they did some surveys to find out which of these students actually wrote down their goals and which of them didn't. They found that it's only a small fraction, maybe 6 to 9% of students actually wrote down their goals. But they followed those over the course of 30, 40 years, and they found that over that time span, those students who wrote down their goals, guess what? They ended up on average earning 9 times more than their fellow peers on average. 9 times more. Now that's a big difference, right? It's like, having a net worth of $100,000 in your 40s versus $1 million in your 40s, right? So, that kind of seemed high to me, so I kind of reflected and thought about how can setting goals make that much of a difference in your life? But if you do the math, even in basic investments, right? If you invest $100 at 10% every year for 25 years, actually you end up with more than 9 times the value. So think about it this way. By setting goals and writing down, let's say it just improves your productivity by 10%. But if you do that consistently over decades, then it will produce a result that can generate 9 times more productivity than if you don't write down and set goals. Does that make sense? So this is another reason why I think it's important and valuable to set goals is for your own productivity, for yourself and for those you care about. But there is one more reason which I wanted to emphasize today. And that is to strengthen your life of faith. Now you may wonder, what does faith or goal setting have to do with faith? Right? It's just a productivity tool. You set goals and achieve them and you gain confidence. But if you think about it a little bit more deeply about what is the definition of faith itself, right? Faith is kind of believing in something that you can't tangibly see yet. Is that right? Right? Faith is actually believing in something that's not yet seen or unseen. Actually, there's the Bible verse, Hebrews 11:1. I really like this quote. It says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." So, according to the Bible or this verse, it says that faith is actually the substance of things hoped for. You actually have to want something, believe in something before it actually happens. But that belief, that faith in something that has not yet happened is the substance of it being actualized later. Does that make sense? Think about it. What is goal setting? Goal setting is setting goals to achieve things that have not yet happened. So the setting of goals is actually a very fundamental tool of also experiencing and developing a life of faith. Now that is if you also include God in that process. And we're going to talk about that later. How do I include God in my goal setting process? So 6 figures there. Okay, so quick story. So I turned 30, and I had graduated college. I remember I was taking time. 30 was a significant year, so I was reflecting on my life. And I was doing mission as a youth pastor. So kind of like what Yasu was doing. But I was doing it full time. That was my job. And I enjoyed doing that mission work. The only problem was I was poor. Mission work, church work doesn't pay well, if you guys haven't figured that out yet. But it's very fulfilling, right? So I asked God in a showdown prayer, I said, God, all of my peers from my business school, they're earning, by 5 years out of college, they're all earning six figures. Why can't I? I want to be able to earn six figures. But yet I was actually a very smaller fraction of that at that time. Anyway, I had this prayer. I said, God, I really believe if you are my sponsor and you have all power, you should be able to let me earn six figures. So I made that prayer. That was in February. That was my birthday. 4 months later, I got fired. Okay. So that was a shock to me. I was like, wait a minute, God, I told you I wanted more money, not less money, right? So I got fired from a job that I thought was completely secure because it's a ministry role that no one really wants. But I got fired, and for not a bad reason. It was just a change in leadership. Don't worry. Anyway. And I ended up actually working at a entry-level accounting job at the New Yorker Hotel, which turned out actually paid 25% less than what I was earning as a youth pastor. So now I'm telling you, this is 3 months later, September, I'm like, wait a minute, God, again, let me clarify. I wanted more, not less. Anyway, I really followed kind of my gut, and I really felt like, and anyway, I felt like God was guiding me through this process. Again, I had no control over those two kind of changes in my life. At that time, I had a 5-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter. And with our monthly rent and expenses, I mean, we were running negative every month at that time. We were eating into our savings. So it was a pretty desperate situation. Anyway, to make a long story short, things turned around. My wife actually started a job. I also was rehired in a different role as assistant controller for Family Federation. And with both of our salaries combined, and with a few more raises, by the end of the following year, we were collectively together earning six figures. And I really felt like God was responding to my request the year before, really with my sincerity and determination that God was able to respond in that way. So feels odd talking about that, but anyway, you can give a hand for that. It's not just about me, but it's about God responding to my request. Okay. Anyway, to me, that was like an example of really setting a goal beyond what you may think is practical or possible, but believing it 100% and really striving towards making that a reality, and then seeing how God can respond to that. Okay, so how do we set goals with God? There's a few steps. The first step is you need to first know yourself. Okay, this is important. Because in order to set goals, it's not just about, let's see, what do I do today or this year, 2023, new year, maybe I'll have a new car, a new house, so on and so forth. You got to think, what is it that is truly you? Because the most effective goals are a reflection of who you are, okay? This is really important. Because if you don't base it on who you are, you're basing it on what society wants or what you think you should do or what you feel like society expects you to have. And those aren't real goals. Real goals are things that are stemming from who you are as a core identity. And next Sunday, I'm going to be walking you through a process to also clarify these identity statement or your original self. That's next week. But the first step is to know yourself. Here's a quote. This is from Father Moon. In your studies, you may have a favorite subject. The subject should be something that you value, that suits your aptitude and catches your interest. It should be something that you will enjoy all the time. You have to focus and study that subject. So this is a really cool quote. Basically, you need to know your strengths. You need to know your passions. And you need to really hone in on what it is that I'm good at, what is it that really excites me, and then focus in that area. So I constantly do this for myself, and one of the things I always come back to, and I also did this last year, was I really love empowering others in personal development. That's like my bread and butter, goal setting, personal development. And so I decided, you know what, this year, 2023, why not bring it to Clifton Family Church? And so this year, starting this month, I'll be doing these sermon series to incorporate a lot of those goal-setting tools that I've used for my coaching practice in the past. I want to bring it into the community, and I want each of you to really get clear on your core identity and your goals that you will be very excited about to do this year. What do you guys think? You excited about that? Okay. So that's my passion, that's my strength. But each of you have your own unique strengths, your own unique passions, and imagine a community full of excited people setting and achieving their goals, growing in their strengths and passions. That's the kind of community that I want to be a part of. And so we're going to go through a whole process of getting that kind of clarity within myself. And if you know of anybody who you think could benefit from this, I want to encourage you, especially this month, to invite them. If they're not here, share the sermon, share the link, have them watch it, and then come next week to go through this process together. Second step in setting goals with God. First is know yourself. Second is to seek God's will for you. Okay, so there's, of course, your strengths and passions, but it's not just about you. Actually, it's really important that you seek what is it that God wants me to do. Okay, it's not just about what I want. Although that is the core, that is the beginning point. You also need to ask, what is it that God wants me to do through my unique strengths and passions? Do you guys see that? It's like you need to know who you are so that you can also understand what God can do through you. And that's a key combination. Here's a quote. This is also from Father Moon. You need to discuss with God regarding this important matter of your life. You must live your life in a way that God can move with you, and history can move with you. God reveals his will to central persons in order to fulfill his providence. So, as I mentioned, Father, Mother Moon, they've always lived their life this way. It's not just about what they can do, but also asking, what is it that God wants to use? How does God want to work through me? And if you think about this, take a moment to ask yourself, maybe you're good at cooking. Maybe God would like you to share your talent and feed the community. Right, Matthew? Or maybe you're great at singing. Or maybe you're great at choreographing. Maybe there's an element that you can express to bring more joy to the community through performances or volunteering as part of the choir. The point is, it's not just about, sacrificing for the community. Actually, that's the way you find true joy in life, is when you're fully utilizing your talents and passions in a way that serves other people. So to me, it's not necessarily a sacrifice by using these talents. I find more joy when I'm training others, when I'm empowering others, I find tremendous joy and value through doing that. So same thing with you. Please find a way to ask God. Take a moment to ask God, how can God use my strength and my talent, my passion to really serve others? And the final step in goal setting with God is be open to God's plan, because what you want and what you think God wants may be different than what God ends up asking you to do. May look different. Okay? Here's a quote, Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. So, yeah, many times we think we know the best. I'm guilty of that often. My wife reminds me. But if you can humble yourself for a moment and always check, is this what God wants me to do? Then you'll be surprised at the kind of answer that might come. Or you might face a situation that on the surface looks like this is exactly not what I want. But if you trust that God is still working through this situation, you may find that behind the surface, that's exactly what you also had wanted in the beginning as well. You know, when I told you about the six-figure story, when I got fired and we got a lower paying job, I felt like it was exactly opposite of what God wanted. But actually, if I wasn't fired, if I didn't go through that different kind of job, I couldn't have really received the new job or even create a situation where my wife felt compelled to get a job herself. Of course, she wasn't so happy about that. But actually, she was happy that she could also, find a job and earn for the family. So it's kind of like sometimes we have to go through the real deep challenges in order to get what we asked for. So don't resist that. Embrace the challenge and the course that you need to walk in order to get to where you really want to get to. And that, in many ways, is what God asks us or walks us through in order to get to really where we want. So, when going back 7 years ago, or actually it's more than 7 now, but 2013, I had just finished my last kind of mission there as the director of leadership for GPA. This was in 43rd Street. Again, long story short, I didn't know what I was going to do next, but I asked the president at that time, Dr. Michael Balcom, about what I could do for the community. And he, going back and forth, I negotiated a job called the Director of Strategic Planning. It was perfect for me. It was all the things I wanted to do, which was strategy, planning, organization, finance, operations, but with the convenience of kind of a regular 9-to-5 job without having to travel. It was perfect. I designed it that way, and I negotiated with them, HR. So finally, after 3 months of negotiation, they said yes. I was so happy. I skipped home. I told my wife, don't worry, I'm going to be home, and this job is going to be a great, secure job for future, other opportunities as well. 3 days later, I got a phone call that Mother Moon wanted to see me in Hawaii. Some of you may have heard this story, but basically she wanted me to be the CARP president. Now, at that time, CARP, the student organization, was in the worst condition it was. The president had just resigned, the staff all quit, and basically there was no funds, no membership. It was parked for 6 months, so there was nothing. But Mother Moon asked me to step up and be the president of this organization. Anyway, it wasn't exactly my cup of tea or what I wanted to do, but I said yes. And over the course of the next 7 years, I went through a course of really developing the CARP organization, expanded to youth and young adult ministry, included an Ocean Tribe and YSP and so on and so forth. And then fast forward 7 years, just 2 years ago, I was asked to serve as the president of Family Federation. And that wasn't what I had expected. But I knew in my heart what I wanted to serve our community in a way that would give the greatest impact on our organization, on our education, and on our finance. And I feel like God was listening, just he felt I needed a little bit more training and practice. And so I had to go through that kind of course to get to where I felt I really wanted to be. So when you ask and you get clear on what you want, you just have to be willing to go through the prerequisites to getting to where you want to be. And that may be something that you may not expect or even like. But if you're true to your goal, then you can withstand it, and you'll find that actually that challenging process is what's preparing you to be where you need to be and where you want to be. Okay, so don't worry about the struggle. Know that those struggles will come. Once you're clear on your goals, the struggles will come to fine-tune you into the person that you need to be in order to accomplish what you want. So if you understand that, then you can really trust that God is working through those situations. I wanted to end with a few samples of historical figures who've also set goals with God. So the Pilgrims, they really set out for a new world. You know the story. The founding of America started with these Pilgrims who wanted a new land where they can freely worship God. And actually, that dream, that vision, at the risk of their lives, they left everything behind from home to travel to Israel. They didn't know even if they would survive, but they did that with this intention of being able to freely worship. And that was the beginning point of America. There's another figure, Martin Luther King Jr. We'll talk about his vision a little bit more in one of our sermons later this month. Here's a quote: "This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring." So Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he really had this vision or goal of a country where every person, regardless of color, could really be treated equally and really worship and honor God together as one family, one community. And because he set that kind of dream and goal, his effort contributed tremendously towards better equality here in America. Do you guys know this picture? I think many of you may. This was the first church that Father Moon built when he was in Korea, when he just started his mission work. And it was made out of cardboard from Army Reserve boxes. It was only big enough to hold like a few people inside. But even at that point, Father Moon had this dream together with God that someday people from all over the world will come to Korea to visit this land. And of course, if you were there at that time, you might think he's crazy. Many did think he was crazy, but he had this dream, this vision, this goal that he set together with God, and he stayed true to that goal. And lo and behold, 50, 60 years later, literally people from every country in the world are visiting that same space to really honor the life and legacy of Father and Mother Moon. So that is the power of really setting goals together with God is that you can tap into this amazing energy. I think this is the final quote here. This is from Mother Moon. True parents set as their lives providential goals, the liberation of God, the salvation of humankind, and the realization of a peaceful, ideal world. And they have completely invested their lives for the sake of those achievements. So, I guess I want to just say that, the example that I want to share is, true parents, Father, Mother Moon, they've really dedicated their whole lives for this dream, this goal of establishing one family under God. And actually, each of us here, are kind of the fruits or the results of that dream. We're not quite there yet, but we're working on it. And I want to encourage, the more each of us can take ownership over that dream, the faster we can realize that dream. And similar to the song that was just sung by the Filipino group, we can make a change. And every person here can contribute to making that happen. So recap, how to set goals with God. First, know your gifts and passions. We're going to go through that a whole process next Sunday. Second is understand God's will, or seek to understand God's will for you. And third is be open to God's plan. The reflection question, what is one goal you would like to set for yourself this year? We'll give you 5 minutes after my sermon to reflect on that and share. And the challenge for the week is I want you to write down 3 goals before next Sunday for 2023, and then share it with somebody. Okay, this will prepare you for the next Sunday service. So again, we covered setting goals with God today. We're going to go over a topic called My Original Self next Sunday, going into God's dream and mine. That's also connected to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Dealing with doubt is going to cover, anytime we set goals, we face challenges and doubt. So we're going to go over how to address those. And then finally, on the last Sunday of January, I'd like to share a vision for the future of our New Jersey Family Church here. So all of this is preparing for that. So please look forward to an exciting series that you can also invite others to. So in conclusion, I shared this a little bit, but I really want, my hope for 2023 is that this year is going to be the best year you've ever experienced. I want it to be my best year as well. And I really feel as the local pastor here, we can, if each of us can get clear on your identity, your strengths, your passion, and find a way to contribute that for our community, this will be a really exciting, thriving community where we can continue to grow and develop and build that kingdom together, starting with this community. So with that in mind, may God bless you and your family this week, and I hope to see you guys the rest of the Sundays this January. Thank you very much.